So it says, although edge rusher might loom as a bigger need, the Detroit Lions now have plenty of beef on the interior of the defensive line. First round defensive tackle Tyleik Williams profiles as a plug-and-play option from day one. DJ Reader and Roy Lopez are reliable veteran run stuffers as well, while big edge rusher like Broderick Martin. Tactical sport is, I know you about to crash out. Okay. While big edge rushers like Broderick Martin and Josh Pascal can kick inside on passing downs. Okay. So here's my problem with PFF. PFF is wildly inconsistent. They're wildly inconsistent. How in any assessment that you make, okay, and I see how this becomes unbelievably ridiculous. This because you are counting on Broderick Martin to do something. Okay. We hope that Broderick Martin can do something because we don't want the pick to be a wasted pick. But listing him currently as Broderick Martin, the Broderick Martin that we know, listing him as a reason why you're going to cut anybody on the team is wild. Like listing Broderick Martin, Broderick Martin, the man of no stats. And again, I'm not attacking the player. Okay. I don't want people to think that I'm up here attacking the player. And because, anytime you say something, then someone jumps on and like, oh, you couldn't do any better. Okay. Well, I'm a guy that gives my opinion about the things that I see in sports, and not just sports, or not mostly sports, primarily the Detroit Lions. Okay. So when I see a roster move or something that goes with the team and it's a head scratcher to me, because it's my opinion. You may have given the draft an F. You may have given the draft an A. You may have given it some letter in between those two. And I also gave it some letter in between those two. My letter might be higher than yours. My letter might be lower than yours. But it's my letter. It's my opinion. Okay? So Broderick Martin has not shown us anything so far. Brad Holmes pretty much said at the owners' meetings it's time for him to poop or get off the pot. So a guy that has shown us nothing so far, and the guy who the GM that drafted him said it's time for him to poop or get off the pot. This is the guy that you're telling me that we can afford to cut anybody for. This is the guy that you're telling me is making anyone expendable. Well, that, sir, is crazy. So I get it. I understand it. All right. And then, they're higher on Josh Pascal than I am. I'm not high on Josh Pascal at all. If you're talking about Josh Pascal kicking down to the inside, okay, cool. Not an issue, right? And that's what he said. All right, so he goes on to say the only question is the recovery timeline from Ali McNeil, as the Lions may not want to leave themselves shorthanded on the interior if McNeil is expected to miss most of 2025. However, if Onwuzurike fails to impress in the preseason, the Lions might be better served getting a day 3 pick in return instead of cutting him. Okay, so here's what I'll say. From his aspect, we know that Levi Onwuzurike plays inside and outside. So if Pascal is not available, you're going to have Levi on the outside. If Pascal is available, then Levi is going to be playing on the inside. So because he can kick outside, that's also one thing that he neglected to mention here. And he's treating Levi as only a DT. So only in the DT room, you could say, yes, that he has fallen down the pecking order. But the versatility that he has where he can play inside or outside makes him a lot more desirable, to keep on the roster. Okay, because he can do multiple things. And because we had so many injuries last season, you want to have depth. That's what you want to have. You want to have depth. If you don't have it, then you might have some issues. All right. So it says Onwuzurike's first 3 NFL seasons were derailed by recurring back issues, including missing the entire 2022 season after having spinal fusion surgery. But he was healthy last season, 16 games, and while his surface numbers weren't outstanding, 28 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, which were accumulated not all at once. Not a single sack was accumulated at once. They were all half sacks, and you put them together, and he got 1.5. So he had 3 half sacks. I just want to point that out. Okay. As if I haven't pointed it out before, I just want to make sure that you guys are clear. 3 half sacks. 3 half sacks. 3 half sacks. All right, let's go. Pro Football Focus graded him as a top 30 defensive tackle in the league. He also had a pass rush win rate of 12.5%. That was top 15 at the position. Okay. So a pass rush win rate doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the sack. This means that you've beat the person who was in front of you trying to block you, or you split a double team or whatever. You got back there and you hurried or pressured the quarterback. Okay. So if you hurry or pressure the quarterback, that is considered winning your pass rush. Because most of the time, when you're able to hurry or flush a quarterback or rush a quarterback, it results in a sack. But when it doesn't result in a sack, then that quarterback still has a chance to continue the play and complete the pass down the field, which happened oftentimes when we would get pressures, but we wouldn't get home. All right. So it says Onwuzurike also showed some versatility last season with 168 snaps at left end per PFF to help the Lions cover a notable edge rusher void. Okay. So now you've said this, you work at PFF, you should know this. So just looking at him as a defensive tackle doesn't really do him all the justice, because he has the ability, as I said before, to kick outside and to rush the passer. Not very successfully, but he has the ability to rush the passer. And this is where we are the thinnest, and we know why we're the thinnest. And I'm going to try not to get too into it. But at some point, you know what I'm going to say. Right? I'm the resident hater. I know, but I got to get into it because it's a concern. And as long as it's concerning, it's going to be concerning. All right. So with his history of back issues in mind, and despite it seeming he could cash in nicely on the open market, Onwuzurike ended up going back to the Lions on just a 1-year, $5.5 million deal this offseason. So that's puzzling to me, because I wouldn't consider what he did this past season really balling out. I wouldn't consider that. So I don't think you just put your name in a hat and you go, well, I'm the next guy to get paid for something. Okay? I'm the next guy to get paid for some reason. Did you have any production? Well, I didn't have a whole lot, but if people are getting contracts, I'm here on the open market and I'm here to cash in. Right? That's not how it works. So there has to be a level of production. I don't know that 28 tackles, 28 total tackles, which means all of them weren't solo. Okay. So 28 total tackles in a sack and a half. I don't think those are numbers where you cash in. Right. And if you do cash in off of that, I need to get off this podcast and I need to go get in the NFL, because that's nothing for 16 games, 28 total tackles, 1.5 sacks. And you played defensive tackle and you played defensive end. So if they're saying that this person is going to cash in, I have no idea how that's going to happen. But anyway, let's continue. So naming Onwuzurike as the most expendable Lions player and is one thing, but G extended the ridiculousness by mentioning Broderick Martin and Josh Pascal as if they're notable entities to the Lions defensive line. Okay. So this is where we're gonna do the whole kumbaya thing. This is where we are going to sit together and we're gonna sit around in a circle and we're gonna put a peace pipe in the middle and you're just gonna pass it around. Because that is the thing that made it ridiculous to me. Most notably, Broderick Martin. Okay. Most notably, Broderick Martin, because of what I said earlier. Okay. Josh Pascal, again, I am not high on Josh Pascal. The Detroit Lions are high on Josh Pascal. Josh Pascal, I don't believe is supposed to play outside as much as he does. I think that was a necessity thing. I don't think that that's where they want him because he's not effective there. Right? He can set an edge and he's good against the run, but he gives you virtually nothing in the pass rush. He had 1 sack the entire season. So he doesn't give you much. Like he didn't even have 1.5, like Levi Onwuzurike did. He had 1 sack. Right. And in the Buffalo game, if you go back and you watch the Buffalo game, he missed a ton of tackles in the backfield. Right. A ton of tackles in the backfield. And that game in particular was a game where we needed to get people on the ground because we had a problem getting people on the ground. And that's why we got boat raced out of our own stadium. So if you're looking at Josh Pascal as someone who is more than just depth, then I think you're fooling yourself. If you're looking at Josh Pascal as someone who is going to give you anything that would be considered formidable, right? Anything that's a lot of value, and you're like, okay, no, we can just plug and play Josh Pascal and we're fine again. 15-2 is great. Josh Pascal on a team that was 15-2 and we had all the injuries and all these things. We're gonna talk about that. Okay. But we have to be able to look at, what is it? The sum of the total parts or whatever. We kind of overachieved.
What up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P here. Listen, if you want to continue keeping your Lions news pragmatic, if you want to keep getting the stats and not none of that static, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share and let everybody know what's going on around here. And turn on your notifications, because how else would you know that we're up in here keeping your Lions news pragmatic? Appreciate you once again, and we are out. Peace.